one of their coaches, Dennis Foreman. Dennis, I guess you kind of expected this team to be this good. It was a little bit, talking to your other coach, Dave Geiger, you guys had an interesting philosophy about the state championships. You knew you were going to be part of the regions as the host, so you kind of played that state championship round as sort of a warm-up, and some of the guys talking after the region championship said, hey, we knew we didn't play our best in the states, but we knew we were getting here to regions, so we wanted to be peaking at the right time. So a little bit of an interesting way to look at, the postseason run.
Yeah, Dave, you never want to try to coach to lose, obviously, but this group, we felt very strongly that we needed to really instill a philosophy and a style of play that perhaps some of the guys weren't really accustomed to, and we were able to utilize the state tournament and some of our practices as opportunity to really hammer home the philosophy that we have of coaching baseball and playing very selflessly, and the guys really started to turn the corner. The way they carry themselves, the way they approach at-bats, the way they hustle on and off the field, and really pick each other up, and that's something that we had the opportunity to work on at the state tournament.
And it really kind of the states kind of gave you an idea of what your lineup was going to look like, not only offensively but defensively. You moved Tony Santa Maria to shortstop. Your son moved to center field. So you kind of got the right defensive mix as you played those games in the states, and that really paid off for you in the regions. It
really did, and the kids started to have some confidence at the positions they were finding themselves in. One of Dave Geiger's tremendous strengths is kind of seeing the big picture and then finding those puzzle pieces to fit. So we made a decision to put Tony at shortstop and let him basically live there, and he has done nothing but be outstanding. Kevin, as you mentioned, is a little bit of a swing player for us. He'll play center, he'll play second, and he'll pitch. He actually is Brian's backup in an emergency situation at the catching position. And guys started to really buy into their position and understand that they really are part of something much bigger than themselves.
We're talking with Dennis Foreman, assistant coach for the Atlantic Shore 14-year-old Babe Ruth team. And we also have a bunch of other folks here in studio from the 15s as well. And as you know, both teams advanced to the World Series. The 14s are heading up to Massachusetts here in about a week and a half, and the 15s are going to be heading out to North Dakota. One of the guys we have in studio is Brian Fury, catcher for the 14-year-olds, Upper Township resident. Brian, first off, exciting summer for your family, man. Your little brother's on the Upper Township Little League team that's playing for a state championship.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. We've had a lot of baseball this summer, and that's not a bad thing.
Who's the best baseball player in the family? You or your brother?
I'd say he's a little bit better than me.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's a little
I don't know, man. I watched those regionals, and you had a heck of a regional. And talk about what it was like to be the catcher during this past week. I mean, you're talking 95 degrees out there. You're catching pretty much every inning, dealing with stressful games, tough situations on defense, runners on base, and you did a heck of a job. How did you handle all that on a day in and day out basis, with just the heat and having to deal with all the stress you did as the starting catcher?
I mean, in practice, we work a lot in the heat in the middle of the day when everybody else is at the beach. So you kind of get used to the heat as the day goes on. So the heat didn't really faze me that much. And then catching, I've been catching these kids since I was like 8 years old. So I've gotten used to all these kids and know what they do and know how they work.
What's it like being locally famous at age 14?
It's pretty nice.
Everybody knows your name now?
Seems to be that way.
You're going to be a big star back at school when you get back to school?
Hopefully.
What's it like for you guys following up in the footsteps of last year's team that went to Arkansas, won the World Series? Do you guys feel any pressure, or how do you handle the expectations that are now on the Atlantic Shore program? You guys are kind of expected to compete and win regional championships now, where that maybe wasn't the case 5 years ago.
We definitely feel a little pressure since they won the World Series. We have to follow in their footsteps, but we have a good and talented team, so I knew we were going to do well this year.
I was impressed with the offense you guys put up. Was that unexpected the last couple games of regionals? You guys really you scored early, took the pressure off the defense and pitching staff a little bit, and really up and down the lineup. You talk about some of the guys like Gabe and Jimmy in the middle lineup in that regional final really didn't make much of an impact, although they had earlier in games. But when your 3-4 hitters weren't getting hits, all the other guys were, and that really, like Coach Geiger said, that really shows the makeup of this team, that other guys, the 7, 8, 9 hitters can come through when the 3-4 guys aren't.
Yeah, we work together as a team really well, and we pick each other up when some of each other are not hitting well. So the bottom of the order usually hits if the top of the order doesn't hit, and if the top of the order hits, the bottom of the order might not be doing as well.
Who's the biggest character on the team in the dugout?
There's a few.
There's a few?
There's a few.
You don't want to name any names?
No, I'm not going to name any names right now.
Dennis, real quick, let me get some comments from you about Brian. I was really impressed with the job he did in regionals. That's asking a lot of a 14-year-old catcher, day in and day out, 95 degrees, couple different pitchers each game. You got to go through all those warm-ups and everything. And talk about him a little bit and the job he's done for this program.
It'd be a pleasure to talk about him. We do a lot of things defensively, trying to neutralize the other team's running game. There's any small ball they want to do, and also Coach Geiger calls all the pitches. So Brian does not miss a sign. We do everything through the catcher. He's clearly demonstrated as probably the most mature leader of the team, and we couldn't be happier that he's serving in that role. We made a decision last year with Nick Atoy to put him in the catching position, and it worked out very well. So our biggest decision at the beginning was who was going to be our catcher, and really give him a lot of ownership. And he has not disappointed at all. He's been tremendous, and offensively he is doing the job too. So if you ever notice, and there's a runner on base with nobody out, Brian pulls the ball, and even though he actually can hit the ball well the other way as well, he can bunt, he can run. So he's a very, very complete player for a young man.
Dennis, also, before we came on the air with you guys, you mentioned the fundraising effort. It's going to take a lot of money to get you guys to your destinations in both Massachusetts and North Dakota. And as usual, the local community really stepping up. The Wonder Bar did a great job last year hosting a fundraiser for you guys, and you raised a bunch of money to help out these boys in the expense department. And sounds like they're going to step up again for you guys.
Yeah, it's really a humbling experience to be part of a community that does this to make young people's experience what it is. The Wonder Bar, we're going to have an event on August 6th from 4 to 10. It'll be free food, heavily discounted drinks, tremendous auction items, and those auction items were provided by restaurants all in the area, a lot of the casinos, hairdressing places. It's just sports tickets. So it's going to be a lot of fun and for a good cause. And I think ultimately, when you really look at the big picture, this is a life lesson for these boys because they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. They're going to be the volunteers that hopefully come back and give back just as the adults in their lives have. So it's a win-win, and we couldn't be more appreciative.
Let's get Coach Dave Geiger in here real quick. Step up to the mic, Coach. Got to do a little shuffling here, little musical chairs here in our small office here. But Dave, talk about this team a little bit. Obviously, first off, piggybacking on what Dennis said with the fundraising effort, I know you guys are kind of entrenched in these local communities, and talk about the support you've gotten in the last couple of years. Obviously, last year you took this team down to Arkansas, and the local communities really stepped up in terms of providing some of the funding you guys needed to get down there and win a world championship. So talk about that a little bit and how neat that is that all these local businesses come together and try to help these kids out.
Yeah, the community's really pulled together. Last year, like I say, raised close to $25,000 to make sure the kids had like a trip of a lifetime. And this year we're going to go after the same thing. There's a few different things, like today down in Marmora, about 5 of the boys will be bagging groceries.
Where, at the ShopRite down there?
Correct.
Okay, ShopRite in Marmora.
Yeah.
So get down there and look for the maroon T-shirts, right?
Exactly. Then on Wednesday, the 5 guys in Absecon is going to go and give us 10% of all their sales from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Nice.
Which will be good. And hopefully also we're going to have a couple of kids there taking donations. It's just we have a great community when it does come. Everybody does reach out and help. What's
it like been coaching this program? Obviously, you kind of stick with the same age group from year to year, and you see these guys progress. You see a guy like Devin Sharkey standing behind you. was one of the main players last year on the World Championship team, and now he's a kid that was a freshman this year at Mainland, really started making an impact on varsity as the spring went on. It's got to be neat for you as a coach to see these guys. You're sort of the stepping stone from middle school into high school.
Oh, yeah. This year was great. There was, whenever you went to basically any game, we got to see some of our kids either at the JV level or the varsity level. Because usually when these guys go into high school, they're all fresh. When you're a freshman, you're playing on the freshman team.
Right.
Almost our whole team from last year was either on a JV team or a varsity team, which I thought was awesome to see.
Yeah, you mentioned a guy like Nick Atoy really came on as one of the starting pitchers for Mainland on the varsity level as just a sophomore and really making a name for himself. And what really impressed me about him was he didn't get rattled in any kind of pressure situation, and I think a lot of that can be traced back to Atlantic Shore and playing in those big games in front of crowds. It didn't seem to faze him at all, even though he was only a sophomore.
No, I agree with you there. Nick just had a breakout season for Mainland this year, and couldn't be more proud of him. Been watching Nick play since he's 9 years old, and the World Series team last year definitely he took the turn, and he definitely belonged on varsity and starting every game, and he really did a great job.
How much does it make you proud of these boys when you see them out in the community? You're asking a lot of these families and these kids to go out there and do the fundraising efforts and represent your program in the way they carry themselves at these fundraising events, bagging groceries, that kind of thing. And it's got to be neat to see them understand that it takes effort from them to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, they all buy in, and that's the thing. And right now, after you get the third out of a region game, it doesn't sink in right away what you're about to do,
right?
And the journey you're about to go on. We already had a parents meeting where we explained to all the parents what needs to be done. The 15-year-old parents, of course, went through it last year, and we have Karen Sharkey running the finances again for us. Hopefully, all that works out. And she's going to be able to go and help along the 14-year-old parents who are on their first time of doing this. And it's like I said, the kids buy in, and once they see what they need to do, just to have the best experience they're ever going to have with a sporting event.
Is the coach of the 15-year-old squad, Bill Rosino, and one of his players, Devin Sharkey. You might remember that name from high school spring baseball, as he was an outstanding freshman who made his way up to varsity about halfway through the year and helped the Mustangs get back into the South Jersey Group 3 playoffs. Devin, real quick, what was that experience like for you as a freshman being on varsity? You came up about halfway through the year, got a chance to play because of an injury, and really made the most of it and had a pretty good year for the last 10, 12 games.
Well, I mean, it was nerve-wracking at the beginning, but all the older guys made it a lot better. They really comforted me coming in and stuff like that. And there was a lot of younger guys that came up with me, like Jimmy Kreiser played some varsity games with me, so going through it with someone else also made it a lot easier.
They make you carry the bags?
Yeah, they did. And the buckets and the water and everything.
And the buckets, clean everything up after practice?
Yeah.
What was the biggest difference between what you saw last year in the 14-year-old Babe Ruth World Series and now going into varsity baseball at the high school level? How much different? Was there any similarities?
I mean, some of the pitching was the same with, we saw a lot of sophomores and stuff, but when you got to the older guys, when we played, Josh Arnold and Sean Mooney against Ocean City, seeing those big guys like that, it kind of shocked me a little bit, but I played the best I could through it.
What was that like facing Sean Moody's 92-mile-an-hour fastball?
Well, I mean, I didn't get to face it at all, but I got to see it, and I mean, I was blown away by that, just seeing it, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a different ball game when a guy's throwing low 90s with a big hook.
85 is a big difference.
Yep. How much did you learn just from being on that World Series team last year? That's a great, like the coaches say, great life experience. You kind of understand how to handle yourself as a young athlete who's in the public eye. And did that help you at all when you got up to varsity?
Well, I mean, it told me never to give up. We had 3 walk-off games where we were down in the last inning or so, and we would hit a walk-off to come back. So whenever I was down at varsity level or whatever, and I struck out my last at-bat, I know I could go up there and hit a single my next one.
We also have Coach Bill Rosino in studio of the 15-year-olds. Bill, talk about this program a little bit and just how far it's come in the last 4 or 5 years. I guess, was it 2011 or so was the first year you guys really made an impact on the regional level?
Yeah, 2011 was the first year. Excuse me. The program started in 1981.
Right.
So we've been around a long time. We won one state championship, and that was back in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And that we felt like that was a tremendous accomplishment at that time. And now, during these last 5 years, the program has just blossomed. For a program to have 3 teams to go to a Mid-Atlantic regional is unheard of. We had our 13-year-old team go, our
Right.
14-year-old team, and obviously our 15-year-old team. So we're very proud and very excited as to where we are right now.
What's it like for you as a coach to see these boys progress from kind of, goofy 13-year-olds who are just coming into the bigger field? Then you see them a couple years later, they're filling out, their bodies are filling out, they're much more mature, they're up on varsity, and they're becoming solid young men both in school and on the field. It's got to be a neat progression to see these guys. They grow so much in just a couple of years.
It's amazing to see how kids change from 13 to 14 and then from 14 to 15. The kids at 13 that you think are going to be studs may not end up being studs at 15.
Right.
Okay. Fortunately, in our program, our 13-year-old studs have stayed studs, but the lesser kids at 13 have become studs.
Yeah.
So we're very proud of that.
And we also wanted to mention next weekend, August 6th, is that correct, the Wonder Bar?
Yes, the Wonder Bar next Saturday, August 6th.
And what time is that going to be?
4 to 10.
4 to 10 next weekend, next Saturday at the Wonder Bar in Atlantic City. Big fundraising event for the Atlantic Shore Babe Ruth teams. The 14-year-olds are heading to Massachusetts, the 15s to North Dakota. So obviously a lot of finances needed to get these boys to where they need to go. You're talking food, lodging, all that stuff. Bill, how much effort does it take to get all this money raised and to provide the right kind of experience for these boys? It's obviously takes a lot of work from a lot of different people, the parents, the community, the business owners.
The community has been great. We had a fundraiser at the Golden Nugget, which helped us out tremendously. The Atlantic City Police Department, Bill Mazer there, really helped us out. So everybody has stepped up and pitched in. And, we still got another week and a half to go, but we're on our way.
And I guess that's going to be a busy week and a half for you guys as coaches.
Well,
not only do you have to worry about the fundraising, but now you got to get practices organized and everything else.
Practice is organized. Babe Ruth runs their World Series the right way, and we've had to do a lot of preparation in terms of getting in touch with the media out in North Dakota and in Massachusetts, setting up housing, sending pictures to them. So, they're getting a nice program book together. So there's been a lot of work since we won Tuesday night. It's been work Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So it's been nonstop.
Kind of takes over your summer a little bit, right?
No doubt.
Devin, talk about last year's experience a little bit when you guys won the Babe Ruth World Series out in Arkansas. What was that like? Obviously, kind of a lifetime achievement that not many kids get to experience.
Well, that last game was unbelievable on its own with that walk-off hit by Cole Vanderslice to end the game, and we all of us rushing out onto the field having a doggy pile at second base. That was probably the highlight of the whole season right there, and that put the cherry on top with the season ending like that. It was really unbelievable.
And it's got to be cool now. All these guys you're playing with, you're in. Some of you guys are in different high schools now, and you get to come back together during the summer and play for this summer league team. How cool is that to catch up with these guys and a guy like Cole who's out at the prep and some of these other guys, different high schools, and you're kind of your adversaries during the spring, but now you come back as teammates in the summertime.
Well, it's cool because when I played JV, like you'd see all your friends coming by, and then when you go up to varsity, some of your friends come up with you, so you see all them. Then at the end of the season, we come to this team and we talk, and we're like, well, how'd your varsity season go? And we have that conversation with the bull. I did this, and it's always a fun time to hear what people have to say.
Do you guys feel any kind of pressure this year coming back as World Series champions? I'm sure everybody knows now about the Atlantic Shore program. talking to Coach Geiger, people in California know about A Shore. They know you guys are the team to beat. What's that like, being the team to beat when you're going into a tournament like this?
Well, Coach Rosino told us we're the team that has the X on our back, so we know that we can't really let up any more games now because we feel pressured because everybody wants us now. They know, they won last year. We need to get them out of here. So we know.
What do you think North Dakota is going to be like?
Well, I mean, we're still trying to find stuff to do there. So,
Bill, talk about just the experience these guys are getting in these kind of tournaments. You guys were in Arkansas last year, going to North Dakota this year. Some trips that not many 14, 15-year-olds get to make. A lot of kids at this age rarely even get out of New Jersey.
No, you're right about that. Watching those boys go up to the World Series last year, and in the World Series, the pressure situations that they were in and how they responded, and we can see it carry over to this year when we're down 3-2 in the seventh inning. There's no panic in the dugout. They know that they're going to get the job done, and they just go about their job and do what they're supposed to do. So
it's got to be neat also to see these kids meet people and kids from other parts of the country. Like you said, last year in Arkansas, the people were just so nice. They knew everything about you guys. The fans had done their research on your program, and they knew the kids' names and everything like that. It's got to be a neat experience to meet people from different parts of the country and see their passion for baseball.
It was a neat experience, and I don't know if Devin knows this or not, but I was talking to a couple of the California parents before the final game, and they said, we're not going to let Sharky beat us. They knew everything that he had done. So, it's kind of neat that you're recognized on a national level.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if the kids really understand all that they're going through at this stage of life. They're going to, remember this 10 years, 15 years down the road. And they got the World Series rings from last year to prove it if anybody questions them in 15 years about how good they were.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think anyone involved with our run last year is going to forget that, from parents, the fans, the players. Everyone's going to remember that for the rest of their lives.
Good stuff here. We're up against the break, Bill, but remind us real quick of some of the things you have going on in terms of fundraising efforts over the next week and a half. Obviously, next Saturday is a big one at the Wonder Bar in Atlantic City, 6 p.m. There's going to be a lot of great items up for auction, and so that's kind of one of the main fundraisers. What other things you got planned for this coming week?
Well, again, today the boys are at the shop right in Marmora bagging groceries, so anybody who wants to go shopping today in Marmora, go see the boys. They'll be bagging your groceries. Okay, Wednesday night we're at the Five Guys in Absecon. They've been so gracious to help us out there.
That's 4 to 8 p.m., right?
4 to 8 p.m. at the Five Guys there. So, just come out and help support us.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us, all you A Shore coaches and players. Always a pleasure talking to you guys, and good luck. We'll be keeping tabs on you, and we'll update everybody next week on how things are going. I guess you guys will be heading out to these locations in about a week and a half, right?
Yeah, the 14-year-old team leaves on Tuesday, August 9th, and the 15-year-old team leaves on Thursday, August the 11th.
Good stuff, man. Well, good luck in the World Series, and let's bring home a couple titles.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.